So welcome everybody, Paul Raye from Think Accountants here, and this afternoon we're going to be talking about setting goals in business and for employees, and I've invited along Suzanne Diprose from Performance Advantage to help us to cover that topic. So Suzanne, what are sort of effective goal setting that small businesses can do?
Well, I think it's really important to have real clarity on the goals. You're not going to achieve your best, or if you like, the business is not going to get the most ROI that they could get from their employees if they don't have real clarity about what it is that the person's doing and what does success actually look like for all of the tasks that the person is doing, or their key report areas, if you like, what they've got to actually achieve in that goal, in that job role. So if they have clarity about what success looks like, then they will know themselves that, yep, tick, I've done that, move on. Or and the business can also know that, hey, this is the arrangement, this is what the person actually is meant to do, and they have achieved that. So that's maybe good information for salary review or anything else like that as well. A lot of people will think performance reviews are around salary reviews, but they really shouldn't be. Of course, you should do a salary review. You've got to make sure you're wage compliant at the minimum, but also that you're relevant to the local industry as well, and the wages that are on offer. But you also should reward people effectively for when they put in an effective performance. So therefore the question comes back to, well, what is an effective performance? So doing the legwork, doing the thinking and distilling down to the critical points of what does success look like, takes a little bit of time, and it really needs to be based on not only quantities but also quality. What's the measure of what is a good result? So you may have your company protocols or policies or procedures, or there may be industry requirements as a quality measure, or you might have other quality measures from the work meets all the requirements for the next person who actually has to, finish off the job or something else like that. You need to look at, time factors around that as well. Maybe I could do a fabulous job, but I take twice as long. So therefore I've taken twice as long and I've just cost the business twice as much. So therefore I might not actually be providing ROI to the business. Yeah. So
okay, so we know that as business owners we realise the importance of our assets, which being our people, and when the business sets its goals, and then obviously we want our people to align with those goals and have some goal congruence. Yeah. But what's the best way of getting buy-in from our team? Is there any techniques or strategies or processes we should use?
Well, I think in the first place, awareness. They need to really know, what is the critical elements of the job, and mentioning that word critical, I think, is really important, because there's probably 20 things that we do a day, but what are the critical things that actually provide the value to the business that you really need to think about? So that would be your priority areas of practice, whatever the job is. And so I use a lot of times something called a job scorecard, and that will detail what is the mission of the job, and of course that fits into the mission of the department and the company, etc. So awareness of what the company's actually doing, I think, is important, and what the goals are for the business, and then what is the mission for the particular job, and then you can go into, what are the outcomes that you will be looking to from me as an employee, and putting those in order of priority, quite frankly. So, in your business, Paul, accounting, those deadlines for getting reports into the ATO, they're critical in your business. Yes. Well, reporting might not be quite so critical if you're production manager on the floor or something else like that. So in your job scorecards, that would be one of the top ones in the business. In the production side, probably safety is probably one of the biggest outcomes you'd be looking for first. So then you structure it downwards, if you like. And for more fundamental roles, you know, you don't want to have too many goals, so you don't, or too many outcomes, so that you don't have too much on people's plates. Job scorecards also include capabilities and measuring people on their capabilities and looking at the capabilities for doing that particular job. So I don't have the capabilities to work for you, Paul, in doing accounting. I just don't have those capabilities.
We can train you.
Yeah, but then also you'd look at the behaviours as well. So there's those critical areas of what are the outcomes you're looking for, what are the capabilities I need to display, and then also what are the behaviours I need to display. You know, and behaviours really fit with the values of the company. The values are very different, even generationally, if you look at it in our society. And they differ between different companies, and you want to make sure that the values and how people behave inside the company is consistent with what they want to give to customers, what they say about themselves. So it's that, you mentioned the word before, congruence. It's actually about the congruence there as well. So yeah, it takes a bit to actually do the thinking for all of this.
So, okay, thanks, Suzanne. We've heard. I think most of us have heard about SMART goal setting. Can you explain a little bit more about just what that is and how it can be effectively used to get the best out of our employees?
Yeah, so SMART goal setting is really looking at and evaluating a goal and making sure in fact it is a goal in the end, so that it's specific and it's actually measurable. And that measurable side of things is where, as a HR consultant, I see people often don't come up with a clear measure. And so that's where you really need to spend some time thinking about that. The A stands for whether or not it's actually achievable, and by achievable is whether or not I've got the capacity to do it. Maybe that's one aspect, but also is it within my remit for my job? Okay, and have I been given a license or authority, if you like, to actually be involved in that part of a job? Can I control it? It's no good having a measure that, you know, Suzanne, I'm going to be measured for, but actually Paul, Freddie and Joe also have to contribute towards that. So, yeah, so you have to be careful about that. Realistic and also time are the other elements there. So,
Okay, thank you. So we've spoken about you know, employees achieving their results, but how would we go about measuring that, and how often, I guess you were saying, should we have performance reviews? Is that something we should do on an annual basis, 6 monthly, weekly? What would you say would be the generally the optimal time frame for doing that?
If I was going to do performance for salary, I'd probably do it once a year, right? If I'm looking at performance reviews for bonuses, which might be project-based, well, obviously at the end of the projects, or in that case, you might look at quarterly, because you could do things really formally, and I would do it formally for the salary reviews, quite frankly. But if I'm doing a salary review, I'd also be looking at the wider market as well, because you've got to keep current with that. But I certainly wouldn't wait until the end of the year. Can you remember in January what you did? I can't remember. It's only half a year ago. You know, I'm never going to remember in December what I did last January, right? And what my performance or maybe performance issues were, or anything else. Are you going to remember that? So, you know, I think you need to do it a lot more frequently. And in fact, I like quarterly, quite frankly, but that can be more informal. It doesn't have to be all the big paperwork and all the rest of that. You do want records, and you do want goals, and you do want to have that written up and recorded and kept, so that you've got clarity again for the next quarter. But really, I like the idea of setting quarterly objectives for people, and those objectives, because business does change. It changes over the year. Clients change. Your whole business might even change over the year. So it just keeps it current, and you're just tweaking at it. So that quarterly is one aspect. But one of the things that really help engage people in their workplace and to achieve is doing one-to-ones with people. And I would actually recommend doing that if you've got, you wouldn't want to have more than 6 or 8 reports, I would say. I think 8's too many already. But having a one-to-one once a month. And that is, and even in fact, I've found when it's been done in workplaces once a fortnight, it's actually really come up with some higher levels of engagement, higher levels of people actually turning up to work. That's a nice idea. And being engaged in their job, helping other people, learning more skills, and all those things actually come up with better profitability and productivity in the workplace. So that's money in the pocket for a business. So, and it doesn't have to be more than, in the end, once you're used to doing one-to-ones, 10, 15 minutes with someone. And you just, you look like you're shooting the breeze, but you're really talking about what's just happened, were there any barriers, what their resource needs are, do they need anything, etc., and setting them up for discussion about their next fortnight or their next period of time, whatever that's going to be.
Okay, can you discuss the importance of reward and recognition? I know that in my past, I've always felt it important to recognise someone's achieving something. How important is money in recognition? I know it's important to some people, but sometimes it's just recognition. Say, hey,
Yes.
Fred, notice you stayed back, finished that job. Fantastic, really appreciate that, mate.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts on other methods of reward and recognition?
Money does come into the scenario of being important, but beyond that, and quite often there are other factors that are almost equally as important as money, is that recognition. And I think that is something that you can actually do as a manager too, is to just spend that 5-10 minutes actually talking with someone about something that they have achieved and that you recognise that. There are things you can do in a small business. You can give people a special lunch. You can do the flowers. You can corporates often bring people in to do massage and goodness knows whatever else.
Okay, I'm on board.
I'm on board, yeah. It's a bit harder in a small business, but that recognition is really important. Some of the workplaces that I work in, they'll have almost like your game wheel. And if someone's been observed doing something well, following the behaviours that they're expecting, from the values in a business, they'll have a chance to spin the wheel and win something,
I like that. Do I get a chance to spin the wheel?
Yes, yeah. But I think I reward my staff with maybe extra time off sometimes, or super flexibility. I think that's part of the workplace for me anyway. You could give people extra training or an extra job, something that they might want to learn, the next stage in progress, that sort of thing.
Okay, well, look, thank you, Suzanne. I think we could talk for hours on this, and maybe we'll do another follow-up session with some more in-depth and specific areas that Suzanne can cover. But thank you again, and I'm sure that you'd be available to help anybody that wants some assistance in this area.
Certainly would be, and would love to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for being with us.